The reason you lose 99% of Valorant rounds is because of only one thing, a bad site take. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to explain to you the most fundamental parts you need to understand about taking site. And from that understanding, you'll be able to use util on any map on any agent you want to just by thinking back to this video. Let's begin with the idea of you being an attacker trying to hit B site on Breeze. Realistically, there's only two real threats. Number one, the potential early fight on B main, and number two, the main fight of most rounds, taking the site. So for the first one, in all honesty, it's extremely rare in comp besides maybe a chamber peeking with a TP out. You don't have to worry about this too much. I just say that if you are expecting an early fight, use util to take B main. But if you aren't, which should be 9 times out of 10, call for your team to shift up until the gate and then use util. And for the second one, the site take, for this one, you gotta worry about people in 600 different angles and run into 5,000 pieces of util that the defenders are throwing at you. So for most rounds, put all your focus into the second threat. Now, let's put ourselves in the mind of a defender for a sec. If you're a defender playing B and your site is getting pushed, you can only ever do two things: play inside or play offsite. If you're trying to play inside, all your attention is naturally on the choke point, usually with a smoke there. The most frustrating thing as a defender is to have your attention split because you have to look at some random piece of util getting thrown in the sky, and while you're panicking to break it, the enemy team comes out and kills you. So, back to the attackers. You really just want to get the site, whether it be by killing the guy or by pushing him out of the site. So, use your util to accomplish that goal. You want to make it so difficult for the defender to hold his choke that he either dies trying or just gives up the site and keeps his life. Now, here's the most important part of the video: how to make the defender get owned by util. You want to throw your util in some place that makes him need to look away from the choke. Once again, because it's super important, make him look away from the choke. Whether it's a blind or a recon, even a duelist dashing in, make the defender look away from the choke. Take a look at an example of bad util versus good util from the defender's point of view, and it becomes super clear. As you can see in the first one, the defender barely has to adjust to break the util and can just go back to holding the choke, no biggie. But in the second one, the defender has to look all the way back there to break the dart before he can go back to holding the choke. That's an example of a good recon. But this same idea can be applied to genuinely any piece of breakable utility. You want to drag their crosshair off the choke so that when you come out of the smoke, there isn't three people staring at you. So whether it's a Reyna blind or a Sova dart or a Gecko blind or a Jet dashing in, or ideally all of those things in sync together, you want them to have multiple things to look at. The more things they have to look at, the higher chance they die or give up sight. Once you understand this, the first thing that should become clear is when you should throw your util. Your util should ideally pop when your team is just about to come out of the choke. This is what actually creates the desired outcome of forcing the enemy to look at multiple things at once. If you were to throw a recon dart before your team is even ready to enter, it makes it really easy for the enemy team to just flick, break the recon, and go back to holding the smoke. When you throw it too late, chances are the enemy already got done spraying down 3 of your teammates before they got revealed. And at that point, I don't think the reveal did very much. But when you throw it right as your team is just about to enter, it makes it so that they have to make a decision to continue looking at the smoke or turn their back to shoot the util. And that creates your team's window to kill them. Pause! Do you want free coaching from me? Well, you can finally get some through my newly launched free coaching section in my Discord server. You should sign up now. The second thing that becomes clear is where you should be throwing your util. If you blind at the perfect time, but the blind is like 1 inch off where the enemy was pre-aiming anyway, you haven't accomplished the goal of making them have multiple things they need to look at. Since in this case, they can just continue aiming where they were already aiming, and they just shoot the blind and then continue shooting the smoke. It doesn't create the effect of splitting their attention, making them have multiple things to look at. When you throw that same blind at the same time, but this time super high up, now the defender actually feels pressure. where if they continue to look at the choke, they get blinded, and if they shoot the blind, they are genuinely looking at the sky when your team is coming out. For any piece of util that's easy for you to shoot behind them, like a sofa dart, you should ideally shoot it somewhere that is even more annoying to break than just a high blind, like somewhere backside where they have to turn 180 degrees just to break it. Also, this concept also applies to most duelists. When you throw a neon wall, if you're throwing it right next to where the enemy is playing, now he has the added pressure of a guy running up on him. But if you throw it directly on him, he probably isn't very scared at all, since he can just continue looking at what he was looking at before. The concepts of timing the util also apply. If you throw the wall while your team is still in main, the defense isn't split between looking at the choke and looking at your wall. Instead, they know that they only need to look at the silly neon entering alone. Same thing goes for a jet dashing in or a phoenix wall or a waylay dash. Make the enemy actually feel like they have to make a choice, and ideally make the choice a lose-lose for the enemy, where they can max only get one and die, which is usually good for the attackers. Now, what I've described so far is the concept applied individually, but let's think about when we apply this to a team, because at the end of the day, you low-key have 4 other bums on your team that you shouldn't forget about. So, if you're a defender holding a smoke, and then you see just a gecko blind in the sky, nothing else, you can break it and go back to holding, no biggie. But if you see a gecko blind in the sky and at the same time a jet dashes in, all of a sudden you either have to eat the blind and die or look in the sky and genuinely get harassed by the other 4 guys coming out of the smoke. See how it's a lose-lose? The only other option is to try and run away with your life, but most defenders play in positions that are way too committed in the site for them to just run away, unless they have an escape ability. So when you put all the util together, you want to make the defender have at least 3 different things to look at. Usually a scan behind, a jet in your face, and people coming out of the smoke. And the more things you add to this, like a Reyna blind or even a raised boombot, the more things the defender has to look at and the higher chance they can't shoot any of those things. Also, the same ideas apply to the defenders on retake to an extent. The roles get reversed, and now it's your job to drive the attackers off site so you can try to defuse or kill them before they get the chance. So a Sova dart in a perfect lineup would be useless if you throw it too late or too early. You want to throw it right as your team is about to come out of the smokes to flood for retake, so that the attackers trying to keep the site actually have multiple things to look at, so they're forced into a lose-lose. I'd like to add that the counter to this idea is to call for someone to break util for you when you have someone playing with you in sight. But I'll be honest, this is so rare to see in ranked. Most of the time, either no one shoots the util or 3 guys shoot it together, and in both cases, it's good for you. Oftentimes, the pros that have the most impactful util aren't the guys with 9 million lineups memorized. Rather, it's usually someone like Forsaken who just understands these concepts super well. And because of that understanding, he's really easily able to pick up any agent he wants to. Once you know the job your util is supposed to do, it becomes really easy to know when and where to throw your util on any agent on any map in the game. If you like coaching from me, check out my Metafy. And if you want to hang out with me and my community, join my Discord server. Other than that, follow me on my Twitch. Thank you for watching and have a good rest of your day.